For more on this story, I'm joined by Dave Ashton, founder of SnapCar, a private chauffeur company here in France. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. What
Thank
is
you.
your reaction to this taxi strike that's happening today? Because now it's no longer just about Uber. Services like yours are also why taxis are out on the streets.
Yes, it's had an effect on our business, and I think it's affected all the actors in the sector. My view is that it's really disgraceful that that the taxis feel that it's necessary to block or paralyze the country to try and advance interests that are really purely self-interested and not in the interest of the country or the economy.
Now, don't the taxis have a valid argument? Because they've paid some 200 to 250,000 euros for their licenses, and now with services like yours, those licenses are basically worthless.
Well, first of all, the licenses are not worthless. They're an asset that these drivers, or more likely it's companies that have purchased these licenses, and they're an asset. The value of assets rises and falls over time, and so the fact that the value of these assets may start falling, although it's not been demonstrated that's the case, it is simply part of a free market economy. So there's really no reason or excuse for the taxi system, whether it's the drivers, the owners of the licenses, who are, again, tend to be very large companies, for them to strike based on the fact that they want the government to support, to prop up the value of these licenses, or to drive and uphold a monopoly for them in this market. They don't. It's completely fair that there should be competition in the market, and there's no reason at all that the government should be responsible for ensuring that those monopolies stay in place.
But what should the government be doing now? Because after today's strike, they will obviously do something. Last year, they buckled under pressure and banned Uber Pop, but they can't ban all private chauffeur services like yours, even, because the Minister of Economy, Emmanuel Macron himself, has said technology is the future. So what can they do?
So the question is, what should they do and what will they do? The first thing that they should do is they should arrest the people. They should arrest every person
taxis that are on the street today.
They should arrest people who paralyze the city, who paralyze the country, who create a public nuisance. It's okay, I guess, if you want to go on strike, but to create a public nuisance and paralyze the country is completely unconscionable. So that's the first thing. In the long term, what they should do is figure out a solution that simply says, we understand that this market is open to competition, that neither taxis nor VTCs nor any other player have a monopoly on execution in this space, and create opportunities for people to continue to have jobs in this sector. What I mean by that is the VTC business has created about 20,000 jobs in France just over the last 4 years. So there's very few sectors where employment for a young person who may come from an unfavorable environment as he or she has grown up is proposing great employment for this person to come and be part of this market. And because the taxis are proposing to stop that, if I was in the government, I would simply say, this is not in the best interest of the economy or the country, and so we won't accept any proposition that would curtail that growth.
But taxis say they're the real professionals. They know the city, they know its landmarks. I took an Uber pool this morning, and the taxi driver had to drop someone off. He didn't know where Grand Palais was. It's one of the biggest landmarks in the city. So don't the taxis have a right to to say we know the city better?
No, they don't have. They have the right to say whatever they want. What's fact and what's reality are not necessarily the same thing as what people say or what they want. So the reality is, the customers, the clients, or the people in Paris or around France will make a choice about what services they want to use. And if a driver of a service like SnapCar or a VTC service can't get the client where the client needs to be, then clearly the client would be motivated to go elsewhere for that service. But as things stand, the growth of VTC services over the last 4 years has gone from 0% market share to somewhere around 25%, because that's what customers want, and that growth will continue.
Dave Ashton, founder of SnapCar. We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us here on France 24.